Bongo. You're in the stage.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday, February 13th, to the Above and Beyond, the Accessibility and Inclusion podcast. As always, I'm Anthony Frisina, joined by the ever clever Maddy Dever.
Woohoo! Yes, I am not Anthony Frisina, even though we look so alike.
It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
hair,
Yeah,
right?
it's uncanny. If you had more hair and a thick beard, and just changed the style of your glasses, and then I don't know. I have bushier eyebrows than you two. Anyways, how's my brother from a different mother doing?
Oh, Maddy Dever, I am so glad you asked, my friend. It has been a week, busy as ever. But I can't complain. Life's too good. I can't complain.
But
Whew,
you're going
but I'm
to.
about to. I'm about to. Um,
Yes.
you know, Maddie, what's a buzzword that we typically say
Oh,
here?
a buzzword that we talk inclusion, we talk accessibility, we talk about barriers, we talk about ignoramuses. Oh wait, no, we do, but we don't usually say that. We talk about
That's
attitude. We talk about
offline.
exactly. We talk about attitude. We talk about being the change. We talk about transit. We talk about transit a lot.
Oh, transit, how I love you.
All right. We
I
we know
will
we
say,
like to hit we like to hit the this topic head on and in a timely way, unlike Dart.
I'm a, I'm gonna just, you know what? Get that banner up, Maddie. Get it ready. Hashtag Tony Tomes.
All
Um,
right.
let's go. I'm gonna start by saying Sunday, you nailed it. It was good. Today, you're late, couple late rides. Something that happened in 2017, and for full disclosure, that's when I first started taking paratransit on a regular basis. Um, shouldn't happen 6 years later. We talk about mistakes happening, coincidence, circumstance, but the more times they happen, they become a pattern. And if it's a negative pattern, and shouldn't patterns be fixed if they're negative, so that we don't have to talk about what happened in 2017 with regards to late rides in 2023?
Yeah.
I
You
don't
know,
know, folks. That's just my opinion. That
I
was
think
today,
what happens.
albeit not
I
very
think what
late, but
I sorry to interrupt you. You go ahead.
nope. No, no, no.
What
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say is what we see is when we see a pattern of behavior from organizations where they they they're late, or they don't show up, or they screw up a booking, and the expectation is that we just accept it because they're meeting the minimum
They're there for
standards
us.
of meeting our needs. Yeah, and the problem is this is how systemic ableism creeps in or piles on to what's already there. When we get a pattern of behavior of poor service, you know, we start accepting that even though we shouldn't. You know, there's oh god, it's the attitude, it's the attitudinal barriers that creep in that make things so much more difficult to fix. Like the problems are fixable. Like all problems are fixable, but the longer the problem continues, and the more the attitude of the system creeps in, and the less inclined we are as disabled folks who have numerous amount of barriers to deal with every single frickin' day. It gets harder for us to fight the small battles, and they end up becoming really big ones. And funding disappears because people aren't using the service. Why aren't people using the service? Because the service sucks. It doesn't mean they don't need the service. No, it's usually they've gotten so accustomed to being poorly treated, to having things not there, that they can't rely on it. So rather than rely on something that fails all the time, they just don't go out. And social inclusion starts just absolutely disappearing in our lives.
All right, so we talked the good, we talked the mediocre. Maddy, let's get into Saturday.
All
This
right.
past Saturday, okay? Just another Saturday. For anybody, typically a trip to a local shopping mall, very small in stature, to get a few things, and then to want to just go pick up a pair of contacts. That they called me that they're available. After being delayed for many weeks, and I totally missed that banner. I'm sorry. Um. Oh. Okay, I got you. Um. Yeah. It started off well. Left me optimistic. Gave me some hope. And then she all went downhill from there. Brought the bundle buggy with me, and as people know, it is a pressing issue for me. I'm not going to go deeply into the specifics of the You're always ready, buddy. Brought the bundle buggy with me, knowing that I was going to get a couple groceries and some essentials that I needed. And got point A done. Got that mall. Went to that mall. Got what I needed. And then I wanted just to quickly pick up a pair of contact lenses that were already paid for, and I just needed to go in and pick them up. On a certain paratransit in Hamilton, minimum calls for you to be out an hour. Now, yeah, I don't know why in any jurisdiction you have the authority to tell people how long they can be out for. I'm not quite sure. I mean, then you'll hear the customary response, we'll take another way. Well, cabs are even worse. You can't even get a cab. Take the bus, HSR. I don't take the bus. I've had personal issues with the bus that have deterred me away from it. The alternatives are there, they're just not reliable. So I arrive at my destination to pick up the contacts around 11:46. I even asked the driver again, can you wait? I'm literally just going to go in and get the contact. And there was another passenger on board, so I didn't want to push my luck. So the pickup was for 12:30. 12:15 comes. Optimistic Anthony is thinking, yeah, maybe they might come on the other side, so the hour-ish time frame kind of might work out for you. Thinking, nope, no 12:15 arrival. Okay, maybe they might be right on time, 12:30. Nope, no 12:30 arrival. Now, I'm a very personable guy. I like to, have conversations with people and, just like we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I decided to, have the conversation with the people in the eye doctor, the reception, and the other clients that were there. We just kind of random, hello, how's your day going? Pass the time, maybe. Shoot, this place closes at 1. A little chilly in Hamilton on Saturday.
Did you get stranded? Did you get stranded?
Huh.
This is why we need to do this.
So 107 comes. Paratransit pulls up. Shoot. They didn't tell me you had the bundle buggy. It wasn't noted on my information.
Oh, not again. That
Can't
bundle
pick you up.
buggy.
It's the bundle buggy's fault. Oh my god.
No.
Maddy, we got it. It's the bundle buggy's fault.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
It's the bundle
seriously.
buggy's fault. Right?
I get so
Oh, mon
frustrated.
Dieu, for
Okay,
wanting to go shopping independently.
Yeah. Okay. So with all of these transit organizations, they have our profile. They know what we go with. They know what kind of wheelchair we have. They know what kind of equipment we bring. But for some reason, there's a disconnect between the data, the dispatch, the driver, and who gets screwed, who gets stranded. Us. Oh my god, I experienced that a lot when I was in Toronto a couple times, where I brought somebody with me to push me on a manual wheelchair because we just couldn't find a way to get my motorized wheelchair, so I had to pushed around, which I really don't like. But yeah, Toronto, it's like I don't know how many times we tried calling and saying I have a wheelchair. I get there, the driver comes like, I don't do that. I can't get the wheelchair in there. La, 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 la. I'm just gonna leave you here. I'm like, hours go by where the same freaking thing happens. It's frustrating.
But it gets better. It gets better, Maddy.
Ooh.
Oh,
Right.
I haven't even hit
More
the
popcorn
climax
here.
yet.
More popcorn here.
I haven't even hit the climax yet.
All right.
She wasn't full. But with regards to my bundle buggy issue, and this is public knowledge, so people who are listening to this, whether it's now or later, and if you're listening to us, give us a strong arm in the comments just to let us know you're here. She wasn't full, but there's a way to do the bundle buggy that's right, and there's another way to do it the paratransit way. She was following the company line. She could have helped me up the ramp and then assisted me independently with the bundle buggy. But for some reason, making Tony look like a choo-choo train is paratransit's best option for Tony. Yes, I'm kind of channeling in my little Italian there. Okay, I'm Italian. What am I saying?
Yeah, well, an
So,
had to
I
do
mean,
somewhat,
it
right?
would have worked if she wheeled me up the ramp independently and then wheeled up the bundle buggy and strapped us both in independently. There we go. I would, even somewhat disregard the fact that she was already late to begin with, outside of that window. But she's on her merry way. I call him up. Yeah, just kind of getting some information. So what happened? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we apologize. An apology is not good enough anymore. You know the issues. You know how to fix them. It's just a matter of putting the processes there and letting all egos aside drop. Eradicating the ableism.
Yeah.
As I say, when you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. And in saying that, Maddy, right, you've always got them already. So when you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. And assistance for a passenger looks different for every passenger.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final part of the story is as it goes. Whew, let me take a deep breath here, Maddy. I'm worked up here. I'm getting worked up here. I'm trying to calm myself down. Final part of the story. A vehicle finally comes. 25 minutes later. I'm trying, buddy. I'm trying. And you know what the gentleman did? There was nobody else in his vehicle. He assisted me up the ramp with my independently. Then he brought the bundle buggy independently. And gosh golly jeepers, it worked.
Woohoo!
There's no workers' comp that I'm aware of. There's no issue related to bundle buggy injury that I'm aware of. This was an all-out good guy. So thank you, my friend. You are one of the good people at paratransit, at darts. Thank you. I got home after 2 p.m., leaving after 10 p.m. 2 trips. This is how you are disabling us, no pun intended, towards being productive, because you are not allowing us to be efficient. I'm done.
You see, it really comes down to the whole attitude that we feel we're getting from most transit organizations, most politicians, and city clerks. It's the, well, we're doing our best to accommodate you guys. We're doing we're spending a lot of money and trying to build a system that's special for you. It's like it's like, okay, so there's an issue. There's a bit of an issue with transit and public money is being spent on transit. Those who like to drive hate the fact that they're having all of their tax money going to a transit system that's they're never going to use. Not realizing that the more transit we have, the easier it is for them to not get into traffic jams with their big expensive gas guzzler cars. But so transit's got, like, there's a lot of folks, especially progressive folks, especially folks downtown, in downtown areas. Transit is absolutely necessary. It's as necessary as breathing. But it can, between the government money it gets and the fees that people pay to use it, it's not a huge loss. Like, it's a cost, but it's not a huge loss. Then you get to paratransit operations. The cost of running it is god awful, way more expensive than um, uh, other transit things. The number of people that can be moved around is much lower per vehicle than buses and subways and trams and airplanes and wing fly things. Um, the cost of maintenance of these things is ginormous. Again, it's because it's considered a niche, and then the people using it aren't paying into it at the same rate that that people are paying in for buses and subways and shit like that. So the whole concept, like, it's a huge cost. So you got people running this that are feeling, oh my God, we're spending all of this money for these two people. Why do we do this? Why is it so special? Why are they complaining? Like, oh my God, we're doing our best. Like, there's such entitled people. Why, like, we're doing a favor for them having this system. Why can't they just use the regular bloody transit system? Anyways, that is the attitude. We feel we feel this side of it because we're the ones that are when we try to say, hey, we didn't get picked up, it's like, well, we'll try again. Hey, we're stranded. Well, we're doing our best. It is a pandemic after all. Or like it's like they come 15 minutes
It's
early and they leave.
winter.
Oh my God, I
Winter.
know
You
it.
cannot
It's like
strand people.
I feel that we should have the right to the same level of service, which means when we can book things, when we can get it, the number of trips we can get, the spontaneousness, as well as being able to plan several days ahead. And different transit systems that doesn't work, or both don't work. Being able to just come on you as you want, or to be able to plan ahead, to be able to make multiple trips. All of these things, which when I talk to able people about it, they go, "What the hell? We just call an Uber." It's like it doesn't work like that. Just hop on a bus. It doesn't work like that. We have to really have our life in check to be able to handle the things that are going to go wrong when it comes to transit, when it comes to paratransit, and it's just like it. I'm not finding the same attitudinal barriers in other domains the way I feel it when it comes to transit, when it comes to any city service that our very ability to move around and be work, groceries, appointments, all of these things we need to be able to do. We can't rely on it. Just I don't see this huge attitudinal barrier in other places. I have in the past. I don't feel it as much as I do when it comes to like I get it from our town roads people in the winter. Like I got a letter from them a month ago saying, because I said, here's a bunch of things that I'm concerned about. I said, well, we're meeting the minimum standard. Well, we like what more do you want us to do? We're meeting the minimum standard, and I've got to respond to them, I've just been putting it off and experiencing snowfall after snowfall. I'm hitting the same issues. Why is one side of the main street completely shoveled and the other part absolutely full of snow and ice? There's same number of businesses. It's the same town. Why do we see the same problems again and again and again? It's attitude. It's attitude.
No,
It's
it's
attitude. The
attitude.
folks, the folks on one side of the street are businesses that really want to make sure that all of their customers are going to be served. So the town does this, and they do they do the bits in front of them that the town misses. It's like it's I don't there's a lot of physical barriers. There's a lot of barriers, you know, that I hit. There's a lot of hidden disability barriers and stuff like that. But the attitude that's there is different than I'm finding when we're trying to talk about municipal services that affect our ability to get out. The social inclusion that the government really wants to sort of tackle. Well, it starts with freaking transit and roads and sidewalks. Okay,
You
my
you
rant's
hit the nail
over. You.
right on the head, Maddie. That begs a question for me. How? Like the attitudinal barriers, ableism. Now, here's my scenario for you.
You
You
riled me up,
push
dude.
back.
You riled
What?
me up. You did
I
warn me
love
that
it.
you were gonna.
I,
You did warn me that
I
this was gonna be a feisty one. I'm like, I had calm day. It's like, oh shit, now it's not calm anymore.
I apologize. We will edit the swearing out of but we can't. It's live.
I,
Anyway,
I
sorry.
I don't think I don't think I've actually I think I've said some words that have strong bits with it. I don't think I've actually sworn. I may have. I'll have to watch it later and go, oh. Okay. Yes, I may have said crapola starting with S.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard, Matty. But
All
let
right.
me ask you
Yes.
something
Oh,
quickly.
I remember. Yeah, I
Oh,
did. I was
oh,
thinking of
here we
rant.
go.
Yes.
Here we go. So
Okay.
here's what want to pose on. I'm kind of scared as to how you might respond, but be ready for this one. Exactly, exactly. So okay, you're in a scenario where minimum standard is presented to you, but it doesn't meet the needs. Okay,
I
no,
should
I'm
say,
going. No,
yeah,
hang on,
okay.
and you push back calmly, precisely, and with tact and with respect, and that perception is deemed to that person as negative. So they in turn tend to Right. You want to talk about minimum standards? Let's have everybody make minimum wage. This is right. Anyway, so you have that staff member come back at you and perceiving what you've approached them with as tone negative and whatnot, rather than the perception of opportunity. A while ago, Maddy, you emphasized cost, cost, cost. What about
Yeah.
investment? What about the return on investment scenario? Because an investment now will come to full fruition down the road. But here's my question though. When you're pushed back with perceived negative notions because of how you directed somebody to somebody who can actually make the change, what's that like for you?
You know, I think we've talked before about maybe in a different topic, but we've talked about there's um there's a sort of a range between people thinking that the economy and the investing in things with growth are where we need to put our money on priorities, and then there's those who feel no, it's the people, it's protecting people, it's growing people, it's focusing on the human cost of things and not the monetary cost of things. And I think that's that's the problem, is that we have systems that are thinking of the economic cost and the economic value, and forgetting that, well, there's the lives of people, especially those who are in a disadvantaged group, um, are just as important, and I'd say even more important than the economic cost. Because you and I have talked about this as well. When you invest in people, it returns hugely. When we do things inclusively, we're actually solving more problems than we can see, because more people need those accommodations than those that are asking for them. And then if people can get to work in random times, there's you've got the effect of the economy is that person that can do the work at a place at any time. There's if we can rely on getting to work on time, we're going to have more an easier time keeping whatever jobs we have. If we're able to go out and do social things, we can contribute by spending all the things that other people do when they're out and about doing things like, hey, tie cat. um it's phenomenal when you look at the domino effect of fixing one thing: attitude. If they fix the attitude towards the system we've got, they would actually fix the system we've got, and all of a sudden is a whole new positive dominoes that again, it's not just about, like, I'm not saying do these things and everybody's going to contribute to the society. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when you open that possibility up, you open up a whole new set of things that can only bring positive things to this world. Yeah.
Tony Tom's time. Oh, you just brought up something big, Maddy.
I tend to.
I thought I was done, folks, but I apologize. I gotta get one more thing off my chest.
Round 3.
Round, I don't know anymore. But here's the thing. When, again, talking about what you mentioned earlier, Maddy, about wanting to do something spontaneously, something comes up, you need a ride, you need to go from point A to point B.
Yep.
The fact that you have to outwardly explain why you need a ride from point A to point B, work, medical, and whatnot, kind of feels like a little bit of a human rights issue, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't bring up the human rights issue, although I think I did say this should be all right. I think I sort of started with that thing, but then I was, yeah. But you're right. It's CPRD.
Now, because like
The
I had a couple things kind of happen over the weekend that I needed rides for this week, and typical darts form, they're not available. So I had to really explain myself. Now, it wasn't work related, it wasn't medical related, but they're important issues and important things in my life. What's important to me may not necessarily be important to you. And for you to dictate what importance is, yeah, it kind of seems a little shady. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of seems a little
It's
shady. That's all.
so much gatekeeping to prevent us from doing things that almost every other able folks don't have to go through these hoops. I mean, we're talking about transportation, but relationships, marriage, having the ability, our finances, making decisions about where we live, you know, eh, agency is my big buzzword. Agency and thrive are the two things that I talk about a lot because um, we are not in many cases, and for so many of us, we're assumed because we're disabled in some way that we can't do certain things, regardless of the fact that you've never asked us, seen it. You've just, somewhere in your memory, you've just heard that disabled people can't do these things. So, like the 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 steps that we need to be able to do to establish and maintain as much independence as we can is a constant battle. It's a constant battle, and especially the more hidden disabilities you have, the more you have to share some of it to be able to get accommodations. It's like some people are great and some people are awful. When the more you have to do to prove you're disabled enough to get an accommodation, instead of having a culture where we just accommodate, without um, like if somebody says, I have this need, can I have this accommodation? The answer should always be yes, unless it's absolutely beyond your ability to do. And then you try to find another way. Sometimes people give you the how when they really need to give you the what, and we can figure out the how.
Right. And normally the answer in that scenario, Maddie, is yes, but
Yeah.
we need proof.
Yeah.
You know,
I need gold. I
proving this.
need gold in my wheelchair. Gold rims, and I
So,
need this big screen, and I need a big theater here, and I need a nice guy over here to push me around. Hey, hello there.
I mean, for me, if it's a cute girl, I'm good with that. Um, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Um,
Rewind.
right. Yeah,
We
I
call
just
inside thoughts. They're inside thoughts.
right, ha. Okay. So, folks, you know what? We're people too. Again, when you've
Mhm.
met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. Trying to dictate our quality of life don't sit well with us. I'm happy to work
No.
with you. I'm happy to share my lived experiences, just like I did a couple weeks ago with the PSW students. Once again, thank you so much to Jordana Taylor for bringing me in to have the conversation about sliding board transfers and getting from point A to point B. Um, I just, I don't understand. I mean, the solution is lived experience matters. That's at the end of the day. Yeah, absolutely. Agency in our decisions, but that impact our quality of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's tough when you go through these bouts, and quite frankly, they're happening far too often now, far too much more. And I feel like I want to say this with respect, Maddie, and let me preface by saying this: if this is with respect, I'm wondering if the pandemic has had a handle on the attitudes behind certain things. What are your
You know,
thoughts?
I think so. Actually, one of the first things that I saw seriously affect us was housing, and being able to use our money. Um, people people with means decided that they didn't want to live in cities anymore, so they started spreading to the rural communities. And in those rural communities, there are many people, us, a lot of us with disabilities. It was affordable. It was, it was cheaper than living in cities, and our quality of life was much better. We had, the local things that we needed, and it was, great hunky dory. And over the last 4 years, that has been eradicated by people with means deciding, that they want their family to be in a less enclosed area, and they started buying up places in the rural areas. And instead of, if they weren't able to buy, the new houses, they were, they were buying some of the houses that had people renting at the lower rates that they've been having for years, and pushing those people out, lowering the rental stock, increasing the cost of rent. That's one of the first things that, like, this isn't just an Ontario thing. This is across the country. Um, the shifting of people's ability to choose and afford their own housing. If we're pushed out, and there's nothing available, it changes our ability to have agency, to have choices over where we live, to be able to afford where we live, to be able to have money outside of rent so that we can have the food that we need to survive on. And the people on ODSP, the Ontario Disability Support Program, are the most affected. Those on Ontario Works are even more worse affected. But it's everybody. People making minimum wage jobs can't afford a house on their own anymore, to rent. Two people making minimum wage can't afford rent. Three people on minimum wage barely, affords rent on a one bedroom. And it's like there's the dynamics. If you've got anybody that's disabled, making less than 70 or 80,000 a year, we're all struggling, really struggling. And those of us who are at the bottom are the most struggling. And I that's what I think is, there's been so many unintended effects that have happened from decisions that were made. For example, focusing on trying to get as many PSWs into long-term care homes was a really needed thing for the long-term care homes, for seniors, and for those of us. Many people with developmental disabilities get shifted to long-term care homes because their parents can't look after them anymore. There's no place for them, so they end up there. So we were as much affected. Disabled people were as much affected as seniors inside the LTCs. So I'm really glad that there was a move to push PSWs there. However, the unintended effect: home care. we lost
Uh-huh.
60%. We lost 60% of home care workers, nurses, and PSWs because of the a rule that was, you can only be in one. You're either in institutions or you're in the community, and the institutions were paying $4 to $5 to $6 more per hour. I understand. I mean, I lost several. I understand their decision. It was the right choice for them and their family. However, the unintended effect is it decimated people who are trying to stay in their homes. Who are most of them? People with disabilities. And it's so, yes,
And
the
thrival
attitude,
went to
the atti-
survival.
yes, exactly. We were able to live. We weren't thriving, but we were living. We were okay, just on
Right.
the edge, right? The system, there were cracks all through the system. We knew that,
Yeah.
we were either going to get across it great, or we were going to fall through at some point. But the COVID, it just it decimated all of the glass that we were standing on, and we were, now we're in this pit and abyss. And you're saying, do you think that COVID, had something to do with changing the attitude? Yes, it's the unintended effect of not including people with disabilities making decisions about things that are going to affect us. You know, CERB, um, so many of the job retraining things, the the move to the LTCs, the way they prioritize who they prioritize for getting the COVID shots first. So many things that had they done things differently, like when they did all the closures and stuff, everybody went. Who went to get to the groceries and hoarded everything first? Those with means. Who were unable to do that? People with disabilities, people low income. It was so many things that were just like I was able to go to the United Nations every year or every 2 years. They have um, a, um, a side thing where they uh, discuss how is I'm running low on liquid here. Every they have a side panel on how is the nation's doing with the Convention of Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and I got to speak 2 years ago about this issue shortly after it was beginning to happen. It was early June 2021, and I look now like that was the half point of COVID. At least from if you think of this as the end, which is not. June
But
2021
no.
was the half point, but I was looking at like what had happened the past 12 months, and there was just this domino effect of making big decisions that if they didn't affect us, they would have been perfect and beautiful decisions, but they did. They affected us in a major way. Inflation. Inflation is a byproduct of what's happening as well as other things that are happening in the world. You know, who does inflation hit first? People with disabilities. So,
Hmm.
you see the talk about the inflation rate going down, but the most important one for people with disabilities is the food inflation, and that keeps going up. Every month, we're hitting a record high for food inflation again and again and again, which means every month we have less to spend, which means we're buying fewer things or buying lesser quality stuff. Shite.
And see.
Oh,
You know what? I wanted to cue you up, Maddie, with something else, but I think you already fired up.
yeah.
I think, folks, this really wasn't meant to be a rant infested conversation. This really wasn't. This was meant as, yes, I said rant, Maddie. Um, this was just meant to, share experiences, lived experiences. And as I always say, that lived experience doesn't get the notoriety nor the respect it deserves. And in order for change to happen, got some of that in my fridge. Uh, uh, with that said, like, the solution is there. You know, one of the things that I'm passionate about in the creation of Above and Beyond is the fact that we have, you just queued it up for me, Maddie, perfectly. We have an abundance of talent in people with disabilities, untapped potential, looking to make fundamental systemic and culture change and be inclusive from the start. Where's the start? We got to find that together. Nothing about us without us. Exactly. And that needs to be a fully ingrained conversation as allies. Teamwork makes the dream work. Pardon me, and understanding the fact that a win for accessibility and inclusion is a win for everybody. Whew, I feel fired up, Maddie. I feel good. I'm glad we were able to get all that off our chest this live today, folks. Next week is Family Day. We may do a live next Sunday, the 19th.
26th.
No,
You're right.
no, the
19th.
19th.
Yeah, 19th. You were correct. I jumped ahead a week. I did some time travel.
I've been, kind of doing things
It's all
backwards
according to
myself,
plan.
because there's a lot of things happening in my world. Next week, I do want to share with our community and our friends and our fans and our Facebook followers that there's a lot of things happening on my end. Probably next week is probably going to be one of the biggest weeks of my life. Not next week, sorry, the week after. So having the live on the 19th if possible. Again, just follow us on social media at Above and Beyond Anthony.Frisina or at Above and Beyond Anthony Frisina, at Matt J Dever on Twitter. No, yeah, is it on Twitter? Yeah, it's on Twitter. And
It's on Twitter,
yeah, at Above Beyond for you on Twitter, at Above and Beyond Anthony Frisina, at Above and Beyond the podcast at gmail.com, at Anthony_Frisina on Twitter, at AutisticRambler.com, at AnthonyFrisina.ca. Send us an email, guys. We always like to hear from you. Have a conversation or a conversation idea that you want us to have. The thing is, with disability and inclusion, folks, the sky's the limit, And Maddy, you put the banner up there earlier. Nothing about us without us.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be part of the solution. We can't be afraid to make drastic change when drastic change is necessary. This is not rocket science, folks. And I have no idea what Maddy's about to do here. Be the change. Exactly. Work with us, not against us. We ain't bad people. We're people too. So let's do
and on
this.
that note,
Let's do this together. Maddy,
yes.
Thank you as always, my friend. I appreciate you very much. I'm Anthony Frisina, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, guys.
Take care.